It's everyone's favorite time. It's soup time. So I'm going to be making a chicken soup. So on my stove is a pot of just water. And what we're going to do is I'm going to show you how I do it. It's a slight variation of what I do, so I'm trying something new today. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to put everything in cheesecloth. And why you do that is because you try not to, or you don't want to put bones into the soup. So this kind of catches it. I'm also going to try something I've never tried before, which is soup greens. And I'll show you that in a moment. But we're going to put that in the cheesecloth as well. So I have chicken quarters. So it's really the leg and the thigh. So it's a quarter of a chicken. So think of a whole chicken. They took a quarter of it. So there's actually a few in here. I think there's 2 or 3. So that is the drum or the leg, and that is the thigh. Thigh is here, leg is here. You can use a small whole chicken. You can use chicken breasts. You can use anything that you have. I'm going to tie this up again so I can keep the bones in. You'll untie it and use the chicken in the soup later, but for now I'm going to keep it tied together because I know my husband is not a huge fan of finding a bone in the soup. I'm pretty okay with making sure there is nothing when I eat it, but I know he's kind of apprehensive of that, which I can totally understand. My fingers don't want to work because it is freezing cold today, and I'm trying to make a knot, which is not working so well, but it will happen. There we go. Alright, so I'm going to pop this into my pot right there. Just throw it in. I'm also going to put, my favorite. Oh goodness, sorry. I'm going to throw in the salt now. Some Himalayan sea salt. Not too much, just enough to get it started. And let me get that soup green. So this is soup green right here. And it's carrots, celery, usually a parsnip, turnip, onion, leek. It really depends on where you buy it, but that's generally what I see. Now I'm going to throw this also in a cheesecloth. I'm also going to cut separate vegetables, but this one I'm not too sure if I want to keep them all, so I'm going to separate them. Now, really what you're supposed to do is let that chicken boil for 45 minutes and then, start putting this in, but I'm going to do it this way. So another reason why I want to keep these separate was because I don't know if I want to use these in its entirety, if they get too mushy or anything like that. So, as you let it boil for 45 minutes, what happens is it's going to break down and start making like a stock. This, I just want the stock to be a little bit richer. So, this is parsley. And any minute you're probably going to hear Gus, my cat. So, when he comes, you should say hi. Oh, actually, he's not going to. He's busy eating. So, these scissors I have are absolutely terrible, so I'm actually cutting my cheesecloth right now. And that reminds me I need to get new cheesecloth. And apparently I need to get new scissors, because these are terrible. If you can probably hear my water starting to boil over there, which is great. This is actually a little big, so I'm going to have to stick them both in a pot and kind of squish it in, so. Nuts. It's not gonna. Alright, you kind of have to let it boil down, so it kind of doesn't close all the way. So I'm going to have to let it start boiling. And I'll get the other ingredients that we're going to start cutting for the actual soup. So I actually, if I can get it to show you, there we go. I switched over the pot because I figured I want to get everything in there. So I forgot to add additional seasoning. So I'm adding a little bit more dried parsley because of the flavor intensity. I'm also going to add, if I can find it, my dill. I absolutely love dill. Dill is a spice that I think is underutilized, to be honest. It can be intense if you put a lot in there, but I'm totally okay with that. And I think that's all we're going to do for the dry spices for now. So we're going to let that boil. And let's get the other veggies going. Just so you know, I had added a few things in here. I did add a clove or two of garlic, just to add that flavor. And I don't know if you have this by where you are, but I use what's called chicken bouillon, or chicken flavored cubes. It's a square, it's mostly like chicken flavoring. It's salty, so you don't want to put too many in. I think I put 4 in this big pot. So I've got now onion, celery, carrots, and I'm going to chop those up. So you know how to chop these up, but just in case you don't, you are going to cut off the ends on both sides. And I usually cut down the middle. Take off about the first layer, because I just don't like it. It tends to sometimes have like a papery feel like this, and I don't like that. And do it to both sides. And you know it's going to be like that. I call it paper for lack of a better term, but you know it's going to be like weird when it starts being green. So if you see on the ends here, right there, it's like greenish. That means that's just not fully grown. It's like a new part of it. You can keep some that's green, that's fine. It's never an issue. But I always take the first layer off just to be safe. And now this one you're doing in cubes. So the soup's not ready for it yet, so I'm just going to pre-cut everything. So I'm going to put it off to the side and just cut everything first. Actually, I'll take it out in a second. There's this really cool little gadget I use sometimes when cutting onions. And it makes things a little bit easier, but you don't have to worry about the size of it. I mean, it's all going to go into the pot. I don't really care, so. I have this thing that looks like a hair pick almost. So what you do is you put it into the onion and you're able to cut this part. You actually can cut both ways because it will hold together what you've just cut. So it's very nice and easy. except for the ends, obviously. You can hear Gus is meowing up a storm today. I should have not cut that right in the middle, but that's fine. Cut these little pieces right here. Alright, I'm actually going to do a lot of onion because I'm going to put a lot of vegetables in here. I don't want it to be just like a brothy soup. I'd rather it be like more of a hearty soup. And vegetables that you could put in there, I mean, I've even heard of people putting in zucchini. I've heard string beans, fresh, not from a can. I've seen even tomato. It was weird, they put tomato in there. But it's pretty much whatever you want to put in there. Corn, I guess, if you wanted to. That's just a little weird, but, you know, it's whatever you have. There we go. Since it's out, I'll use this. Oh, you can't even see that. See how it holds the onion together? And I can go in like that. So it's pretty, you know, cubed up. You can even, oh, you can't see, you can even go this way and then cut it the other way. Perfect. Now, you're going to watch your soup, actually. Right now it doesn't have any, but you're going to wait to see if there's anything that comes up on the top that looks like fat. And you will skim it off as it comes through. Generally, because that has the cheesecloth, I believe some of it will be essentially held back and won't come out, but we will see. Right now it's going pretty well. And I'm just gonna mix that up a little. There we go. Okay, I'm gonna put my onion in a bowl. And the next thing we're going to do is celery, so I'll be back when we're ready for celery. Alright, so we have a lot of celery, and I want to be liberal with the amount of celery I'm putting in there because I don't want to just have onion flavor, so I want to have all the vegetable flavor. So I'm putting a lot of celery in. And you just cut off the ends, the bulb, part of the bulb where it sits. And I believe, yeah, you can see. Start on this side. You have to be careful with celery because sometimes it tends to stick together because of the sinews inside. I guess it's sinews. I don't know proper anatomy of celery, but inside there's the little, that right there. You can see it. It keeps it together. You just make sure you cut all the way through. The other thing is I like to eat as I cut it, so sometimes all the celery doesn't get to go into the soup. You always gotta taste what goes into your soup, so that's what I'm doing. I'm tasting. Off, leaves off. I mean, theoretically, if I did this beforehand, I could put the the leaves and stuff in the cheesecloth, but I didn't. And I feel that the leaves tend to have a little bit more of a bitterness to it, so I don't necessarily put it in, but yeah, see, I have to now pull this apart. I mean, clearly if I cut correctly, I probably could have eliminated this, but I didn't, so I pull it apart with my fingers. Bulb off. I love celery. Celery is probably one of my favorite of the Trinity. There's a term, you see it a lot in Southern or Creole Cajun recipes. They call it, I think it's the Trinity, which is 3 vegetables that starts pretty much everything, which would be celery, onions, and carrot. Taking off the leaves one more time. See your latest bulb. And if you just saw the back of, or the end of this bulb on this stalk that I'm doing right now, it had black on it. It's just dirt. I didn't get it off. Everything else was cleaned, but I figured I'm not using the bulb, so why am I cleaning it completely? Perfect. Now we have the celery done. So I did most of the carrots, but I left this one. So I usually use a peeler to peel my carrot. You can use just a knife to cut the skin away, but this is taking off the smallest amount possible. And I find it to be fun. Alright, now this is a weird shaped carrot, so technically this would be more of a pointed end, but it's weird. I don't know, strange. But nonetheless. I digress. I'm sure you've all used a peeler before. That actually is to be used. It's actually a hook to get, if you had a potato, you scrape in like there to get rid of any dirty parts. Not dirty parts, but like parts you want to get rid of. And then I get rid of the bottom, get rid of the top. Then just slice it down. Now, I won't eat as much as the carrot as I do the celery. I prefer celery over the carrot, but whatever you prefer. I did try the carrot just to make sure it tasted good, so. It's actually a little bit hard today, the carrot. Yep, tastes good to me. Alright, so we'll just wait for the soup to boil a little bit more and then we'll go to the next step. Okay, so you can see that I cut down the chicken and I put in the cut veggies. I let this boil for about 20 minutes. before I put in the other vegetables, it was like 20 to 30 minutes. So now I'm cutting up the vegetables that I put into the cheesecloth. And that's with everything in there. So it looks fairly thick, if you can take a look. It's got everything. And I actually added all the vegetables because I figured I'd give it a try. I was being adventurous today, so. And I keep finding little pieces of food. So now what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to put noodles in this. And I'm going to add a little bit more chicken stock. So I'm going to go get that now. Now I have this pasta. It's actually rice pasta. Whole grain rice pasta. So I'll give it a try. It's upside down. Maybe better with that. So I'll give it a try. I'm just going to throw it into the pot of soup. Now it's in the soup, let it boil, bring it back to a boil. It's not up high enough, I will put it up higher. Bring it to a boil and let it boil for about 10 minutes.